I never thought that one hunting trip would change my view on boar hunting. However, 3 days in Normandy, a region in France where wild boar are abundant, became an unforgettable milestone for me. I arrived in Normandy on a cold December morning. The sky was covered with gray clouds. The gloomy forest seemed to be hiding something. I was led by Etienne, a longtime hunting friend. This was not a sport hunt, but a fight to prevent wild boars from destroying the villagers' farms. We were walking through the Normandy forest. The ground was wet and covered with rotting leaves. Moving towards the middle of the forest, we began to hear noises very close. Oh, Etienne was startled when a herd of wild boars moved past him. Well, looks like we found a wild boar den. Since there were quite a number of wild boars, we decided that this would be the ambush site. Our group split into small groups and proceeded to hunt down the prey. Etienne and I were a group. We carefully searched for traces of wild boar. Suddenly, a dark shadow slowly appeared. Shoot! I raised my gun, my heart pounding. The decisive pull of the trigger brought down the ferocious wild boar. We still hunted wild boar in this forest, but in a different direction. There are also quite a few wild boars here. They move very quickly and weave through layers of dry leaves. When the herd of wild boars appeared in my sight, without hesitation, I opened fire. One wild boar fell. The rest quickly ran away into the bushes. Of wild boars running away often make quite a loud noise, making it easy for us to distinguish the direction. When the wild boars appear, we raise our guns and take down the largest boar. Even though I have hunted wild boar many times, I still feel nervous and excited. I understand that hunting wild boar in Normandy is not a sport or a recreation. It is part of the ecosystem, a duty to preserve the fields, the crops, and the peace of the community. We did not hunt in a large group, but operated alone. The area for hunting pigs was on a green grassland. The locals said that this was a grazing land for cattle. And when wild pigs appeared, they polluted and disturbed the grassland, making it impossible for farmers to graze their cattle. Every wild boar shot down helps farmers protect their farms. During my 3 days hunting wild boar in Normandy, I learned more than just how to hunt. I learned to control myself, to read the signs of the forest, to listen to the sound of the wind blowing through the trees, and to feel the pulse of nature. It made me stronger, more thoughtful, and more respectful of all life around me. My journey in Normandy has come to an end. How do you feel? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like and subscribe to receive the latest notifications. In the U.S., wild boars are a real threat to agriculture. Locals are locked in a brutal battle against these destructive animals, creatures that reproduce at lightning speed, roam in massive herds, and possess an aggressive nature that feels like something out of a real-life nightmare. With all conventional deterrent methods failing, the only solution left is controlled hunting. And today, I'm taking you on a 24-hour life-or-death mission, where every step hides danger, and every gunshot is a fight to protect our land, crops, and communities. After each raid, the herd retreats deep into the nearby forests to hide, so that's exactly where we're headed. The moment we arrived, I spotted a target, but they bolted immediately. We couldn't let them escape, so the whole team quickly got into position, weapons ready, eyes scanning every bush, every tree trunk. With seamless coordination and the support of our hunting dogs, not a single target stood a chance. The forest quickly turned chaotic. Gunshots echoed through the trees, dogs barked furiously, and the screams of fallen hogs pierced the air. Some nearby boars managed to escape just in time, disappearing into the brush along the hillside, leaving us in tense silence. But we didn't give up. We split up and started tracking again. Eventually, in a shadowed spot beneath a tree line, a target emerged. A single, clean shot ended it instantly, in total silence. That shot caused panic in the surrounding herd. They stopped causing damage and began retreating, hiding. We immediately set up an ambush from multiple directions. No one spoke. All we could hear was the pounding of our hearts and our heavy breaths. Every step had to be calculated. You never know if the enemy is in front of you or right behind you. The tension was unbearable. From a distance, a wild boar appeared, huge, with eyes glowing red, like burning coal. I held my breath, took aim, and pulled the trigger.
Trucks.
Then I spotted a lone boar. It had likely been separated from a herd. It appeared at the forest's edge, cautious, slowly creeping forward, as if it sensed the danger. I fired the first shot, missed again. But I didn't stop. I fired a second time, and this time there was no escape. The boar tumbled down the hill after a loud, clean hit. After a string of successful hits, we moved to another hilltop. And that's when we saw it, an entire herd running along the hillside. There were so many, I couldn't even count them all. Snapping out of my surprise, I raised my rifle and fired. They were fast, but I still managed to take down a few of them. As the boar population slowly thinned, we thought the battle was over. But there were just too many. They were everywhere, and even after 24 hours of non-stop hunting, we couldn't take them all down. Exhausted, we gave it everything we had, trying to eliminate as many as possible. But one thing's for sure, we'll need a better plan, and we'll have to return tomorrow.
Every year, when the crops are in the strong growth stage, it is also the time the wild boars begin to invade the fields, destroying the farmers' efforts. The surveillance cameras recorded the horrifying scene. Hundreds of wild boars frantically ravaged, trampled the crops, and destroyed the rice, corn, and soybean fields. The fruits of the farmers' labor suddenly became a wild feast. Unable to stand idly by, we decided to take action. A large-scale hunt was organized, where experienced hunters joined forces, made meticulous plans, and were ready to enter a tense battle with this dangerous enemy. As soon as we arrived at the field, we received a signal from the surveillance camera. A herd of wild boars was hiding in the grass. We quickly deployed our formation. As we approached, a large wild boar suddenly rushed out, as if it had sensed danger. Without hesitation, we immediately raised our guns, aimed carefully. Boom! The first shot rang out, and the monster collapsed on the spot. The noise startled the herd of wild boars, and they scattered and ran away. But the hunt had just begun. We continued to scan the grass. Calm down. The wild boars were still here. Immediately, the team leader signaled his teammates to disperse, surrounding them from many directions. A wild boar realized the danger and tried to run away, but the weapon was ready. A precise shot caused it to collapse on the ground. At this time, the herd of wild boars nearby split up and ran away towards the dense cornfields and grass patches nearby. We immediately chased after them. The hunting dogs ran ahead, barking loudly to signal that the target was very close. A giant wild boar tried to hide but was discovered by us. Approaching, observing carefully, waiting for the right moment. When it moved, we immediately pulled the trigger. The gunshot rang out, the monster stopped, then collapsed right under the ambush position. Seizing the opportunity, the whole team moved into the ambush position, closely following the flame targets. Fatal shots rang out. Each giant wild boar was destroyed. While passing through a patch of tall, dense grass, suddenly, a wild boar suddenly charged straight towards us. It ran so fast that it was unbelievable, startling everyone. We reacted immediately, raised our guns, and pulled the trigger when it was only a few meters away. The bullet hit its head, causing it to collapse immediately. This was why we had to stay alert at all times. One moment of carelessness, and we could become prey. It seemed that a large herd of wild boars was hiding here. We immediately deployed an ambush formation. When we received the signal, the whole group opened fire. The sound of gunfire echoed throughout the field. When the smoke cleared, 3 more wild boars were lying on the ground. The remaining ones ran away in panic, but they would definitely never return to this land again. Following the trail, we arrived at a nearby forest. Before long, the signal from the dogs continued to ring out. Here it is. The whole team regained their spirits, ready for a ruthless battle. One shot, one kill. The fall of the herd of pigs was our motivation to fight. Under the scorching midday sun, we continued our journey. In the distance, the hunting dogs had discovered another herd of wild pigs moving through the trees. The group immediately accelerated to approach. We quickly aimed at the leader, a giant wild pig weighing no less than 150 kilograms. A precise shot made it collapse. But before I could celebrate, I discovered another one running towards the main road. I couldn't let it escape, so I continued to fire. The result, another wild pig was taken down. As dusk fell, we received a report from a nearby farmer. Another herd of wild boars had just invaded the nearby grassy hill. Without hesitation, we immediately rushed in. This time, we had to face at least 6 wild boars that were wreaking havoc. My teammates and I divided up the most advantageous positions. When the wild boars realized the danger, they immediately ran away. But none of them could escape our sharpshooters. Within a few minutes, the entire herd of wild boars was taken down. After a long day, we have killed dozens of wild boars. The fields have temporarily returned to peace, but we know that this battle is not over yet. The wild boars will return, and we will always be ready.
I had the opportunity to visit a friend's field. However, this place was being destroyed by wild boars, causing billions of dollars in damage every year. My friend was very worried, but could not do anything because their numbers were too large. And on this occasion, I will help him eliminate the danger. Under the early morning sun, the rays of sunlight dyed the vast grasslands golden. That peaceful space suddenly became chaotic when a herd of wild boars appeared. They rushed through, destroying everything in their path, leaving behind a scene of devastation. After many hours of following the ruins, I discovered my target, a large wild boar. It was chewing on small branches, its sharp eyes full of vigilance. I held my breath, slowly approaching. Each step was carefully calculated to make no noise. The distance gradually narrowed. I raised my gun, aimed straight at the target. Not letting the opportunity slip away, I immediately pulled the trigger. The bullet whistled, piercing through the thick skin. The pig paused for a few seconds, collapsing to the ground. Its breathing gradually weakened, blending with the strong heartbeat in my chest.
Wild boar, the nightmare of local people. They appeared more and more. After many crop failures, complaints continuously rang out from everywhere. We, a team of professional hunters, decided to take action. The sun had just risen, the guns were loaded, everything was ready. The battle officially began. This time the mission was to sweep the wild boars around the residential area, using optimal tactics and perfect coordination to destroy as many targets as possible.
Yes.
Following the footprints left on the ground, we went deep into a sparse forest, where there were many low bushes.
Enough! Attention!
Ambushing on an observation post, we quietly waited for the target to move past our sight. It was an adult wild boar. At a fairly long distance, when the wild boar moved to an open position, we suddenly attacked, causing the wild boar to collapse on the spot. Our group spread out to hunt down the remaining wild boars. Each meat shot rang out, followed by the targets being taken down. Leading the position, perhaps the previous battle had exposed our position, so the group decided to move flexibly. While searching along the slopes, we found the next targets. The group immediately aimed continuously, determined not to let them escape. Following the trail, the pigs seemed to have smelled our presence. A black shadow suddenly rushed out from the bushes by the roadside, surprising the whole group. Quickly regaining composure, holding the gun firmly. Boom! The target was taken down with a precise and decisive shot. Checking the surrounding areas, we found traces of wild boars on the ground. The footprints were still very fresh. A wild boar broke away from the herd and ran in a different direction. We tried to chase and kill it. At quite a distance, we needed to calculate to be able to take it down quickly. The hunt became more dramatic than ever as we continued to follow the footprints, discovering more herds of boars. In a short time, we had conquered the huge boars with long tusks. But our trip did not stop there. It can be seen that the scenery here is quite wild, but also an ideal place for pigs to forage. Suddenly, we discovered a giant wild boar. At that moment, all eyes were focused on this animal. When the opportunity came, we were ready to attack. The wild boars reacted quickly, creating a dramatic chase as they tried to escape up the steep slopes. But in the end, the huge boar was taken down. The feeling of victory surged in the whole group, creating an unforgettable hunt. In the afternoon, we led the hunting dogs to the dense forest to continue the wild boar hunting trip. Just a few minutes later, the dogs chased a wild boar. Although quite cunning, it could not escape our bullets. Soon after, the dogs also excitedly rushed to the fallen wild boar. It was not until dark that our hunting trip ended. cautiously approach, not to scare them. When the distance was close enough, we immediately pulled the trigger. A series of consecutive gunshots rang out. The wild boar tried very hard but still could not escape. It collapsed on the ground. After that, we discovered and chased many other wild boars. The whole group of hunters coordinated well, thanks to which, even though the wild boars tried to run away, they were all destroyed. We returned with tired bodies but satisfied hearts. This war may not be over, but this land has been protected, at least for the near future.
Deep in the heart of the American South, the state of Oklahoma is under relentless attack, not by an army, but by a creature many once thought harmless: wild feral hogs. An estimated 1.5 million feral hogs roam Oklahoma's fields, forests, and farms. Each year, they cause over $60 million in damages, destroying crops, tearing up irrigation systems, wrecking infrastructure, and even endangering the safety of local residents. So today, we came prepared with helicopters and high-powered weaponry, ready for a high-speed chase against the beasts that have been terrorizing the countryside. As the sun rose, our chopper lifted off. Below us, in the thin woods and torn-up cornfields, a herd of hogs was already on the move, tearing through the land like a living storm. We moved in fast, but don't be fooled, these hogs are not easy to catch. Every shot needs to be pinpoint accurate. A single misfire, and they'll vanish into the brush in seconds. Amid the roar of the rotors, I kept firing, aiming at the massive hogs sprinting below us across the churned-up fields. With aerial vision, Charlotte was landing her shots with deadly precision, each hog dropping in a cloud of dirt and dust. The helicopter circled the field, its engine screaming through the open sky. These hogs usually hide in thick brush or tall grass, but from the sky, they have nowhere to hide. One clean shot, and they're down on the spot. Suddenly, a large group burst out from ahead. The first shot dropped one instantly. The rest scattered in all directions, a textbook hog reaction. But it was too late. Every escape route had already been locked in. One by one, they were taken down by precision fire from above. In this chase, our instinct was no match for aerial speed and firepower. As we moved on to the next group, I kept firing but missed. That's when I realized shooting from the air is a completely different game than hunting on the ground. It's exhilarating. After missing multiple targets, I began to adapt. Watching how my teammate handled his weapon, I mimicked his hand movements, adjusted my aim based on the herd's direction. I wasn't perfect, but I could feel myself improving. And I knew right then this kind of skill comes from rigorous training and experience. From above, we spotted movement in a thick patch of brush. We hovered, watching. The land here is dry and rugged. Maybe that's why the hogs in this region aren't particularly large. But don't be fooled. Even at just a few dozen kilos, they're more than capable of ripping through farmland and devastating crops. They adapt fast, and that's what makes them so dangerous. There are so many hogs here. The ones we've taken down today are just a small fraction of the whole. That's why our team remains determined not to let any get away. The herd scattered trying to flee, but it was no use. We stayed on them, hunting them down one by one. Our hunt stretched into the late afternoon. But as you can imagine, wild hogs continue to breed and hide, forcing helicopter hunting teams to fly missions every single week. This battle, no matter how thrilling, is far from over. Oklahoma, along with many other states, is still calling for more resources, tougher laws, and stronger community involvement to stop this invasive menace. Wild boars, the name might sound familiar, but the destruction they leave behind is anything but ordinary. Wherever they go, trees are flattened, water sources ruined, crops devastated, and hundreds of hectares torn apart like a war zone. Even smaller animals aren't spared. Some of the toughest farmers have had to surrender to their onslaught. Various methods have been deployed to combat this crisis, but in our experience, nothing works better than hunting. At the break of dawn, we arrived at the forest, bringing along a pack of elite hunting dogs. Our team spread out quietly, taking control of key vantage points. The dogs started sniffing out every corner. Tension hung in the air like a drawn bowstring. While the dogs scoured the area, I observed silently. After a long wait, we finally spotted signs of wild boar movement. We picked up the pace, chasing through rows of trees. The moment a target entered our sights, it was taken down with a clean, decisive shot. Some were quite far away, but I still took the shot, sending the herd fleeing in panic. After a long chase, I finally saw my chance. As shadows darted past my vision, I didn't give them a second to react. I pulled the trigger instantly. The reward was worth it. Several targets were taken down, though quite a few managed to escape, making the hunt even more intense. Without wasting time, we continued the pursuit. The dogs kept tracking relentlessly, leaving the boars with nowhere to hide, giving me even more opportunities to strike. After those successful hits, we expanded our search to nearby areas. New chances kept appearing. Massive wild boars started revealing themselves. Their sheer size would excite even the most seasoned hunters. Then came the thunder of gunfire, and just like that, they were down. We moved on to another area. Deep in the woods, I set up an ambush and waited patiently for a target. There it was. I raised my rifle and aimed. The moment the boar crossed my line of sight, a single, sharp shot rang out. With minimal effort, the boar dropped clean and easy. The next ambushes were just as effective. But things don't always go smoothly. A few cunning boars managed to escape into the thick bushes. I lost track of them for a while, but eventually I caught up. Just one shot. That's all I had. As the boar stepped into my scope, I squeezed the trigger. In a split second, it was down, right in the heart of the forest. We returned to the scene, driven by the memory of those ravaged fields. It reignited our determination. The team pushed forward, tracking, ambushing, and dropping more targets. Every gunshot meant one less threat to the land. One more victory for the farmers. Later, we headed to another hill known to be one of their favorite hiding spots. To our surprise, other hunters had already taken down boars in the same area. With teamwork and relentless drive, we wrapped up this challenge with truly impressive results. Cornfields are torn up overnight, and vegetable gardens look like war zones. Wild hogs caused over $1.5 million in damages across the state. Mainly from destroying crops, attacking livestock, and disrupting local ecosystems. As farmers, we couldn't just sit back and watch. So my friends and I decided to act not out of revenge, but to protect our crops, our land, and everything we've worked so hard to build. Faced with this growing crisis, we, the local farmers and hunters, couldn't just stand by. A carefully planned hunt was set in motion. Join us on this tense, heart-pounding, and dangerous journey in today's video. Once we were all in position, I carefully loaded my rifle and waited for the wild hogs to show up. From the perfect ambush spots, we unloaded a volley of shots. At these ranges, experience and accuracy make all the difference. Every hog that showed itself was taken down with precision, and our pile of game kept growing. The rest of the team and the hunting dogs started sweeping the area, and sure enough, the hogs soon emerged. They weren't huge, but they were incredibly fast. I fired several shots and missed. But just as one of them was about to vanish into the brush, a final well-placed shot brought it down. Right after that, another hog burst out in front of me. I had just enough time to aim and squeeze off a perfect shot, dropping it on the spot. But our plan didn't stop there. We kept tracking the hogs, fast, cunning animals weaving between bare trees. This was the moment. All eyes locked in on the target. Then came the crack of gunfire, and down went the biggest hog yet. That rush of victory was unforgettable, marking one of the most intense hunts we've ever had. About 30 minutes later, I spotted another hog at very close range. It didn't take long. With a single, clean shot, I brought it down instantly. During a tense chase, a medium-sized hog appeared, looking fierce and aggressive. I didn't hesitate. I lined up my shot and fired. Bullseye. It dropped instantly. In this area, the hogs don't stand a chance. We're seasoned hunters who know our weapons and can hit targets at any range. The afternoon here was calm and peaceful, which meant the hogs felt safe enough to come out and forage. We stayed quiet, watching from a distance, then launched a surprise attack. The herd barely had time to react before several of the big, tusked males were already down.
Yeah.
We spent the whole day tracking through rugged forest terrain, chasing after hogs. Even after that, more hog herds kept moving through the area. We stayed alert, scanning and selecting targets carefully. By the end of the day, we were completely exhausted, but incredibly proud of what we'd accomplished.
of local people. They appeared more and more. After many crop failures, complaints continuously rang out from everywhere. We, a team of professional hunters, decided to take action. The sun had just risen, the guns were loaded, everything was ready. The battle officially began. This time the mission was to sweep the wild boars around the residential area, using optimal tactics and perfect coordination to destroy as many targets as possible.
Yes.
Following the footprints left on the ground, we went deep into a sparse forest, where there were many low bushes.
Attention!
Ambushing on an observation post, we quietly waited for the target to move past our sight. It was an adult wild boar. At a fairly long distance, when the wild boar moved to an open position, we suddenly attacked, causing the wild boar to collapse on the spot. Our group spread out to hunt down the remaining wild boars. Each meat shot rang out, followed by the targets being taken down. Leading the position, perhaps the previous battle had exposed our position, so the group decided to move flexibly. While searching along the slopes, we found the next targets. The group immediately aimed continuously, determined not to let them escape. Following the trail, the pigs seemed to have smelled our presence. A black shadow suddenly rushed out from the bushes by the roadside, surprising the whole group. Quickly regaining composure, holding the gun firmly. Boom! The target was taken down with a precise and decisive shot. Checking the surrounding areas, we found traces of wild boars on the ground. The footprints were still very fresh. A wild boar broke away from the herd and ran in a different direction. We tried to chase and kill it. At quite a distance, we needed to calculate to be able to take it down quickly. The hunt became more dramatic than ever as we continued to follow the footprints, discovering more herds of boars. In a short time, we had conquered the huge boars with long tusks. But our trip did not stop there. It can be seen that the scenery here is quite wild, but also an ideal place for pigs to forage. Suddenly, we discovered a giant wild boar. At that moment, all eyes were focused on this animal. When the opportunity came, we were ready to attack. The wild boars reacted quickly, creating a dramatic chase as they tried to escape up the steep slopes. But in the end, the huge boar was taken down. The feeling of victory surged in the whole group, creating an unforgettable hunt.